Okay, so the meeting is called to order. Mr. Kelsey has arrived. Mr. Russell has not. So let me ask for a motion to seat an alternate in Mr. Russell's place.
I'll move to seat Mr. Walsh.
Mr. Walsh. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor of seating Tom in Andy's place, say aye.
Aye.
And the opposed say nay, and the abstentions. You're up, Tom. The first item is the approval of the March 10th minutes, which were circulated by email. I don't know if anybody needs a hard copy.
I'll take a hard copy. I did see the email, but I love a hard copy. Oh, if you didn't bring it, that's fine.
Here.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Don't mean help you.
Maria, let us know when you've gone through.
Oh, yeah, I did look at them already.
Oh,
So
you did?
yeah, I
Okay,
did. I
You were
did.
here last
I
week,
just-
but you're,
Oh, no, I was here.
I know, so.
Oh, yeah.
Theoretically, well, actually, you're an alternate, so you can't vote. It's very confusing.
Yeah, it should be, but yeah, because
Take your
she was
time. We're
there.
gonna get
She
through
was
this.
here.
But
Doesn't
yeah,
make
but
sense.
she's not a
She can
regular.
tell you how to vote.
In any event, does anyone have any comments or questions before I call for a motion? Then a motion to approve the March 10 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Kim and Candace, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? One. David. Okay, the next item is the financial reports that were just distributed in hard copy last week. I'll start with just a couple of little questions. Well, first a comment on page 2 of the revenues. I noticed that the investment income is coming in above our conservative budget. So if you take a look at the current month's revenues and extrapolate, you'll get a current year revenues of about 953,000, which is about $400,000 above the budget. So, that's not a good number because interest rates can go down, but just keep that in mind when we're talking about the budget, that we may have up to $400,000 of revenue that's not in the budget.
Well, also, yes, also with that, interest rates started at over 5, we're already down to 3.4, 3.5, right?
But I extrapolated based on the February income. Yeah, the earlier month of the fiscal year were higher.
And I even put a note on it.
And I have a question for you, Anita. On page 13 of the expenses and encumbrances, you have some of the beach associations that have been paid in full and 3 of them that have not. I'm on page 13 of the actual and budgeted expenses and encumbrances.
The point of order, I had to wait, they did not, because their year is different and we were doing off of May through September, so she was not in town, so I had to wait. She sent me the bills from last year. So
Okay.
we had a full, so I could do her numbers and, actually, yeah, they're the ones that, I sent it to the wrong email when I got in touch. By the time he got back to me, he brought me everything in. They had their checks in March.
For Ed Lee,
Yeah.
so Bob has gotten you the information now? Okay.
He's all set. The other 2, they were short, from what their projections was. So that is, left.
And you've gotten what you need from Oak Ridge at this point? I say the third one is Oak Ridge. Do you have their information?
Bridge. Yeah,
That's
they
the
had-
bottom.
No, they had a balance, they were under. They, projected over.
Oh, okay, so they've gotten all that they're entitled to. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
It looks like there's some projects that were planned at the police station. Are those in the works for spring?
Is it painting?
It's the fire alarm painting and the door window.
Yep. All planned.
I noted that Shoreline Gateway has not spent anything yet. Shoreline Gateway project on, the first page. Maybe, I don't know if they're planning to do something, but maybe we can bear this in mind as we do the next budget.
Do you know, Martha, how about the Shoreline Gateway Committee and
Yes, I did. Actually, I talked to Michaela today. And they're working on, they've been working a lot on their presentation to the zoning board for the zoning changes that relate to the Soundview Village District and to the area of 156, or what we sometimes called miscellaneous B North. So they've been working on that, and that's what they've been spending their time on. So they haven't been doing any of their projects at this point in time.
they haven't sent Anita any bills,
I got that.
but they're alive and doing their thing, apparently. Good.
They're working on what they need to, so they'll be ready for the presentations to the zoning board.
Anita, I have one more question on page 6 under Rogers Lake Authority. The budget for the Rogers Lake Authority docking fee was $900, and the current year expenditure is about $5,000. And I just don't remember, I should, but I don't remember what's that all about, the docking fee?
That was the extension for the dock, and the, regional school paid half. It was $9,000.
They purchased a $10,000 dock and we split the cost with the regional school district. So the cost to the town was $5,000, which was split half and half.
So it's an itemized here as a docking fee,
Right,
but it's not a docking fee, it's a
No,
dock construction
Right.
expense.
so they will no longer have dock fees going forward because they'll have their own dock.
Fair enough.
Didn't we do a special appropriation for that?
We did.
Yeah, so
It's just
Yeah,
an
you
interesting
might
place
wanna
to
move
put
that
it,
number
yeah.
To miscellaneous other.
Well, I think-
moved where he told me to charge it to. So.
Yeah, I think Mark's contention was that he could cover his share of the dock, which was about $5,000 out of his budget and still not go over.
right.
So he was inclined to do it that way.
Correct.
Okay,
No, I'm only quarreling with the line item description of docking fee, because I don't think that is correct.
well, it'll be zeroed out to nothing going forward because they won't have a docking fee anymore.
We already put that in for next year's budget. Took it out.
Any other questions? Okay. Then the budget. And I assume, Anita, that you passed out these sheets as a summary of where we are on the budget.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Have we voted on all of the budget line items, or are there any that are still in suspense that we were waiting to confirm?
We voted on all.
We've got all of them so far?
We're
Okay.
way ahead of the game. Don't knock
Thank
on.
you, and Martha, really, it's you and the Board of Selectmen, probably you driving the schedule that has accomplished this.
Well, we wanted to give you a vacation. Sorry it wasn't tonight.
So I'm on the last page, looking at the total, which, the current budget is on the last page, 45,394. The new budget total is 48,603, for a total of 7%. Now, the $3,200,000 increase, I'm saying interestingly, if you look at the line above, 2 million of that increase is Region 18. Can you, if you subtracted Region 18, what's our increase?
1,179,520.
And
556,870 is, additional over and above last year's capital / transfers out. And the general government, all others, every other department total is 622,650.
which is what percentage increase?
Right.
On here. Was it the total
I'm showing approximately 4.49 for the general government.
4.49?
Yes.
Okay, so general government's increase is 4.49.
And if you remember, we've added a couple positions in that. We made another, we've got to create another full-time, and the police and the public works included in those numbers.
And how about, does that include capital?
No, capital was capital by itself is a 4% increase.
Right, well, I think those numbers are interesting, right? So general government 4.49, capital 4.0, region 18, 6.44, with a total increase for us of 7.07. You know, discussion. So I mean, so
Well, yeah, 5% are part of, for this
So-
increase, yeah.
I'll tell you right now, you can take out one of the policemen because we have 2 policeman positions open. One was to replace Wayne. And we've had it posted and we've had 0 interest. So, we still have that. So we could take out the extra one because
about
We're not-
100,000, 90,000.
For the new position. 60.
but plus health benefits though too. Michelle. So we'll save some money there. Because Derek said he can't find anybody to fill Wayne's shoes right now. So let's just concentrate on getting someone to fill Wayne. If by some miracle of all miracles, they find someone who might be interested, they can come for an appropriation and tell you they want to hire somebody else. But let's not tax the taxpayers if we're not ready.
So with benefits, what is it? 150,000?
Well, 60 for
No, it's
She'll-
about 20, and that's getting, give
80.
me a few minutes.
85.
on that one, 'cause I
She'll
don't
figure
have
it out.
different spreadsheets.
Okay.
Anything else?
Well, we don't want to go too fast for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a couple recommendations, but if you want to hear it, it has not gone to the Board of Selectmen. I wanted to run it by.
Go to
your
me,
purview.
but not to them.
One of them is, and I did talk to the others. In our miscellaneous fund, which is our Fund 09, there's approximately $103,000 that is interest accrued on our money. We are allowed to use that in the general funds. So I wanted to transfer out 100,000, if you want to just make it an even number, and move it to the general fund as a transfer in. So this would increase our revenue 100,000 to offset expenditures.
What was that money intended for originally? ARPA?
It is the ARPA money, we
Interest.
accrued interest on that.
That's
Oh, that's just the interest on it. Okay.
And the interest we are allowed to spend through the
Okay.
general fund. The other one, I spoke with Tom, the IT budget. In the IT budget, he has 45,000 in the budget. We're gonna not use that, we're gonna take it out. Because under Fund 25, there's approximately 53,100 that he would like to reallocate to that purpose. To the upgrade to the technology for the 26-27 year. I get that. The other one is,
Is that in his operating budget or in capital?
no, it's
With
in
capital?
Fund 25.
It was
Which-
for IT refresh.
Yes.
IT
So we're gonna
refresh.
take away the 45 in the IT, transfer out. And
Okay.
he is just going to reallocate money that is already in Fund 25.
Is Fund 25 the IT fund? Okay. Oh, yeah, right there. Okay. It's easier.
Yeah, the numbers are so,
It's very light. I missed it. I'm sorry. They were up at the top.
we need big numbers.
Now, wait a minute. You said he had 200 and something in there?
No, 53. He has 53,100 in his, is it miscellaneous? Was,
No,
some- it's in another fund, so you can reallocate it.
Oh, the
For the-
miscellaneous one?
it's in his Fund 25.
Fund 25.
Right. The total amount of money in there, according to the financials that we just got, was 184,67.
Correct.
So we'd be taking, he wants to take the 45,000 out of that number?
He's gonna use,
I just want to make sure that I'm reading this correctly. Yeah, right. And what is that fund supposed to be for?
IT.
Well, I know, but like what?
It's all different.
Just
funds.
capital IT projects?
Currently, right now, he has $53,027. That was designated at one time for a purpose and is not going to be used for that purpose. So he wants to use that for his fiscal year 26-27 money instead of taking an additional 45 from the general fund and moving it in. He just wants the money reallocated to use
What's the project that's not
the
getting?
ones that have not been. It was the transfer scale 2,000 for the scale upgrade. We did not done that. 10,000 for the AV for the town hall, we used ARPA money. $21,116 was for the town hall surveillance, we had ARPA money. 10,000 was network wiring capacity, security. They said return to surplus. And $9,911 for the server room AC install return to surplus.
Over budgeted, so the air conditioning's in,
Cheaper? Okay.
we got the security done on the doors when we put them in. So we're good.
So it's not that those projects aren't getting completed, that we just
We did it.
had funds from other
we had money
places.
back.
Okay.
So that will reduce the budget that is 45,000.
Okay.
The next would be. I talked to Eric, the Buck Barn, Fund 29. Currently in the budget, the paving is 237,600.
That's an estimate.
And that's
It's not, hasn't gone out to bid yet.
right, so we're thinking 3760 can come from the money in Fund 29, because that's what we take in as revenue from the rentals. And there's money in that fund.
How many dollars again?
Currently,
In the fund,
No, are you recommending we take from the fund?
37.
37.6. And then, the remainder 200, we would use 100,000 in this year. And then in the following budget, do another 100,000, so the paving can happen in June, July of next year. So we could split the 100 and 100.
Okay.
Might get a better deal on paving next year too than we would this year.
I got a question I'd like to ask, just because I don't have the history you do. When was the last time, I went up and looked at that. When is the last time we paved the bus barn? That,
Probably when we built it. It's been a while. Does it look bad?
no, it didn't look like cracks need to be filled, and I don't know what it is. Is it, 2.5 inches of binder cord that are compressed, another 2.5? Is it road quality surface? Well, I just don't know the history.
I would think because of the weight of the buses that it's it's a pretty good
It
grade.
should be what to go road grade. you
Right.
know, Construction road grade. I just wondered when it happened. And
To my knowledge, I never remember hearing it talked about being repaved. It was just when they built it.
There was a big chunk of it that got repaved when they did something
The
with
propane tank?
a propane tank and they had to put in new bollards to like protect it and they needed to do new paving for that, but it was only a piece of it.
It
It
was
wasn't,
small.
it was
That was very-
expensive.
I remember the bollards were expensive. I don't remember, but I did the bollards. We just did the
You
bollards
replaced-
2 years ago.
That's right. So,
I don't remember
Okay.
huge paving.
okay.
so.
So there's also another way to look at this. We also have to look at the fact that we've, and you heard it from Ian, we talked about the possibility of electric buses. So by putting off the paving, the closer we get to when we could do the paving, we might have a better idea if we're gonna have to go to electric buses. And if we're gonna do that, then we're gonna have to make some changes in that parking lot anyways. So it would be better to move that project a little bit off, just to see where we start to get our notes from up in Hartford and find out what they're gonna do.
So do we know when it was originally paved?
12 years ago.
12 years.
It was
Okay.
built.
So it isn't 5 years, 6 years, it's
No.
12 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't even think it's been crack sealed and restriped or,
Yeah, it certainly needs that. I mean, I just
Yeah.
looked at it, I'm just looking at what I would see outside a UPS building in an apron and, how often
Yeah.
you do things. I'm just trying to get a sense of 12 years is a
Did
significant.
Ed was the one that suggested it needs to be repaved
Oh,
or the
no,
bus barn
Eric.
oh, Eric.
Facilities, he handles that.
So
Yeah,
it's
I'm
his,
wondering if we could reevaluate that.
Yeah. Even if
Anyway.
we could get 5 more years out of it.
I'm all for upkeep. We all want
Yeah.
to have proper upkeep. but,
Right.
I walked over there as well and looked at it and looks like crack sealing could be an option to extend it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a nice chunk of money we're talking about here.
So this is really something that if I'd known that you were gonna talk about it, I would have had Eric here just to run
Well,
this through. So
Yeah.
I'm happy, Anita and I are happy to chat with him tomorrow. I'm sure that we can work something out. It's not the end of the world, but I would maybe start saving a little bit for it, just so maybe 25,
Would Ed,
50,
okay, yeah.
just put something, if
unless
you
your
want.
subgrade is failing,
Yes,
you
no,
shouldn't have to repave.
Right.
If you crack seal and, you keep it up every 3 years, you're fine.
I mean, it looks
That's
like
like
it needs to be crack sealed and sealed, at least that,
Yeah.
at a quick look. But I just want to be sure we should be making that investment this year. Maybe we should be accruing, that type of thing. But Fred looked at it, so I went up and looked and just drove around, looked at things. Certainly needs to be crack sealed. It certainly probably needs to be sealed because the ultraviolet light eventually affects the road surface. But I want to be sure we need to do it.
Yeah, 237 grand
It's
is
a
a
big
lot
number.
different than,
It may be an
45 grand
opportunity.
for the next
I don't
6
know.
years.
Well, but this is precisely the discussion that we need to have at this moment.
Yeah.
Right, when we see the increase in the budget
right,
and then we look at, well, where are the potential reductions? But Anita, I want to go back on the increase.
so wait, like, can we finish that?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So do you want us to talk to Eric
Yep.
just to get some other ideas?
Did Eric talk to Ed about options?
I think we should bring Ed into the
Ed-
conversation.
Yeah, Ed will not handle that paving bid. That the bus barn is considered a facilities and Eric will work on it.
But
Ed,
Ed could give us an opinion.
yeah, he will. Oh, yeah, he'll
That's-
give
that's
you
what
an
I'm asking,
opinion.
yeah.
We're not cold patching, I can tell you that, because he doesn't like that, but we will definitely have Ed weigh in on what he thinks can be done. We're happy to do that. We'll bring them in and talk to them. I'll get you some options to decrease and push it off for a while. That's fine. I mean, we don't do our roads. We figure our roads are every 15 to 20 years, depending on the road.
Yeah, and
So-
given the road priorities we're gonna have with all the potholes,
Yeah,
we may be shifting dollars that way. I'm just looking in terms of priorities. What do we spend over the next 5 years?
and it's material, it's not 5 grand, so.
Yeah, it's it's
We're
only
putting-
$40 million.
We are putting together a grant called the TRIPS grant, and it's between 300, minimum is 300,000. The most is $2 million for paving. We're looking to do, Anita and I sat down with Ed the other day and pulled up some of the major roads that need to be done, like Whippoorwill, Town Woods, and what was the other one? Rogers Lake Trail. Those 3 really need to be done. So I also talked to Christy Zelik today because looked to see if we could put in a dual grant request for Town Woods. If they did, maybe that would get us the whole road. So we have a question into the grant people to see if we can do a dual grant. If not, we could each write one for Town Woods and then we'll include the other roads on ours, but at least we could try for it. I mean, if I can get $2 million for paving, I think that would be pretty good.
Be great.
So the questions I would have for Ed is, when do we last crack seal it? When do we put a sealer on that? And the 12 years is when it was built, so we know that number. So they would just help to know those
And
things.
sometimes crack seal doesn't work that well.
I understand that. Understand you have to do that often, but that's cheap.
Eric will have all the notes because Phil Parchak handled all that. So I will have him review it.
Okay, thank you.
I want to go back to the percentage increases.
Can she
Um,
finish her thoughts on changes? She's got a few
I
more.
have more.
Oh, the more changes.
Okay,
Well, then you can get to your percentages and
as long as you're in charge, Martha.
No, I'll
leave
let
the
you
job.
do, I'll let you do, but she was wanted to finish and we interrupted her.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Anita.
In the IT fund, there's another $22,947 that was put in prior for police body cams. Well, under our capital, we have police body cams that they're asking $41,000. We can reduce that number by the 22,947. So then that could come out, that would be in that other fund, because it's already appropriated, it's already out.
22,947 is the reduction.
47. Then I had,
Anita, there's nothing else ancillary that's required.
I was
Is
gonna
there?
ask that.
So because obviously you have whatever you're saving the information to, you've got the body cams, right? So that's one
part of
expenditure.
the Axon is, the Axon, part of that was storage as well, and that 41,000, because it's 41,000 for 5 years or 6 years out.
Yeah,
And that includes the storage.
But was there anything that we needed to purchase here for that as well that IT would have done for like backup purposes or our servers or anything along those lines? That,
I was praying, and I spoke with Derek on this, so they didn't, but they did the backup.
who were they?
Axon,
Axon.
the company.
And Axon is the one who's doing all the work with the
Okay.
state police.
Yep,
So.
I remember this
um,
discussion.
And if worse came to worse, there is another, probably about another 30 or 40, I want to say, not a little more, unassigned money in Fund 25. So money's still sitting
Okay.
up there.
as long as we're not short in terms of equipment that's required, which it sounds like what you're describing with the new firm, right? Because we started out 6 years ago with body cams and it was a completely different group and, a different setup and that sort of thing. So,
And right now, currently, the state is still doing it, but the state is thinking of giving it back to the individual towns. That's why it's in the bid.
But we've heard that for 3 years, so.
Yeah.
They're also trying desperately to hang on to their resident state trooper programs, so. They find incentives to keep us happy.
The next, I had was, I was giving back about $10,000 in insurance, but now giving back one police officer, I can reduce insurance by 40,000. Emergency management, said he can reduce his 150 for radios down to 125 this year. Giving back 25,000. And the other thing would be the transfer out to the reevaluation. Currently, we have, if I'm not mistaken, 170,000 in that fund, so we might not need to give them 20,000 this year.
Wasn't it 183?
173, yeah.
173 or 183 that we had in that?
170,
175.
133. So if we only gave them 10, it's gonna be 185 and the reval is not for another 2 years. So I think that we really need to give him 20, maybe give him 10.
So a reduction to 10.
Yeah. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then we can bring these to the Board of Selectmen.
What's that total? If we did all of those?
I just added to my list, so we.
I have 180,547 in reductions of removing things, and then the ARPA interest makes it 280,547.
Again, please, Kim,
280,547.
and the two components are 181.
It's 180, well, she said she could use 100,000 of ARPA interest.
Correct, but the,
And
so
so,
it's 185.47 plus 100.
right,
We'll hire.
okay. I might have missed something.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have the full-time police officer. I don't have the
I don't,
full-time
I don't
police
think we
officer.
had gotten a number on what
Right.
he exactly was.
And then another thing is, I mean, I know it doesn't,
Always jive.
sorry.
Do you want me to mention it? Do you
I'm
want me
still
to
having-
mention it? Do you want me to mention it?
I'm still having.
The other option is that we have about 700,000 plus in the open space account and a 75,000 contribution to them. This year, coming year, we could reduce that by some and still make a contribution. We're required to at least make a contribution of $1, but we could make lower the 75,000. And again, and David, I think you've mentioned this at meetings before, if they come to us with a land purchase that they want, we're probably gonna have to go to an appropriation for more money anyway, which we have in the bank. So allocating it off for a year when we don't see something coming. And again, I could check in with Greg, but I have not heard from him saying he's thinking of anything at this point in time.
So what did we allocate for open space this year?
75.
So we could reduce it by 75 effectively.
We have to get something.
Well, by
Or not the entire, not the
74,999.
entire amount.
One year we gave them $100, that's just to.
That would be up to you, what you'd want to allocate. I would go more than $100. I'd definitely go more than $1.
Well, then maybe 74,000 in reduction. Even with $1,000. No, I mean, but to David's point or your point, it makes sense. If there's not a plan to spend it and they want to buy something, then they have to go to a town meeting anyway.
If it's more than 700,000, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, wouldn't we have to get?
Well, I think
approval from
even
the
with
town
this, even
Yeah, it has to go to town meeting anyways. to
right
send it.
to approve of
yeah.
of real
I
estate.
mean, in
purchase.
tough times, everybody's got to chip in a little bit.
Reduce it by 74.
But why reduce it entirely? Why
So we were-
why not cut it in half or something like that?
well, it is a big number. It'd be different if the balance were 50 grand. Because their argument is somebody who wants to sell 200 acres wants to know you got something in the kitty right now.
Exactly.
So that they're not 100% at risk of going to a town meeting and getting voted down. That's understandable. So at 700 grand, all of a sudden, like, that's a lot of money. We've proven our point to whomever they may have eyes on in terms of potential sellers. So, but if it's 20 grand or 25 grand, I don't think it is gonna move the needle too much, but we still have the goodwill from the folks who support open space and, nobody gets their nose bent out of shape, so.
Our track record for supporting all of their purchases is strong.
It's 100%.
I think open space realizes that, and that's the question, is how much money do you need to have in there to show that there's good.
Yeah, when you had Diana Atwood Johnson, I mean, every year it was like, can't we go up from here? And so I think we're in a better spot right now.
So what's the consensus? Reducing the 75,000 to what number?
10.
10,000.
To 10,000? Okay, so that would be a savings of 65,000. I think what we're gonna need is for you to put a new budget together and then we're gonna vote on it as a whole.
Well, you gotta run it by the Board of Selectmen.
We can't,
first.
we won't be able to vote on this until after April 1st. because the number I am using is the estimate still. I
For the town.
just have the regional school.
That's fine.
She's gonna
But
move in.
currently, what we just
Gotta
did
keep some.
here, adds up to 559,303.
Including the 100,000 from ARPA.
Yes, yes,
sorry, can
that's
you-
all the numbers.
559.
Thank you.
This doesn't include the bus barn, it does.
It does, it still includes the reduction of 100,000 for the bus barn, not the
Okay.
whole thing out, the 37,600 and the 100.
So what's the
137.6.
The 100.
559,303.
303, thank
And
you.
it's-
So if we did the bus barn, you could essentially cut
Another-
the percentage down in half, the increase between capital and general government increase, because that would be about 4%.
So I want to go back and talk about the percentages. You said that the general government went up by 4.49 and capital about 4.0
Yeah, that was, yes, over last year. Because last year,
over last year. Yeah,
last year's general government was 13,877,602.
right.
This year is 15, without any adjustments, 15,57,122.
And that's
515,057,122.
correct.
The difference is 11,79520.
And that's an 8.5% increase. Yeah, so I don't understand the 4.49, but regardless, the total budget increase, including capital and general government, before this discussion today is 8.5%.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying, of the total increase of the 1,179,000. 4.49% of that is general government and 4.01 is, that makes
Fair,
8.5.
fair enough. So those are the components of the 8.5, right?
What did you say the budget for 26-27 is for general government right now?
For last year.
No, for this year, that,
This year,
with no reductions?
no, this is everything but.
That's the 15,057,
15057,122.
because that's,
All numbers except.
that doesn't match this.
This doesn't, we've got 14,500,
That
right?
includes
Yeah.
the capital, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
No.
includes-
Yeah, the 15 million includes capital.
No, I just want that general government.
I know, but that's the number she just gave is the number I got when I took Region
No.
18 out of the grand total.
Oh, okay.
Right, remember we started it with saying take school out of it.
Yeah, which is fine, except I don't, it can't,
So that, Kim, that's when you take the 48 and back out.
And back out, right, Region 18.
yeah, I just did that a second ago. It's because we pay 79%.
Oh, yeah. I
So
forgot.
our increase is 6.44.
So that's what I wondered too, when he's
Anything other than regional school is general government.
But
Even
so-
though it's capital, and of that one.
There's
million.
another general government number.
I don't know what he was referring to, but we usually get back like between 600 and 800,000.
14.
So if it's higher this year, then $1 million would make sense. Lime gets significantly less
Thank you. Yeah.
because they only
yeah,
pay
yeah.
the 20%.
Students, okay.
So that's general government. Sure.
This number's deceiving
And
for us.
that doesn't, that number includes two positions. One is a maintainer, one, and also the police. We took the police out and we're not sure about one, if we'll find someone or not. I think we'll find somebody.
And how much was that police officer removal cost? Like that, his salary cost? Do we have that?
And the police officer was 73,756.
Is that include the
Plus
insurance
the 30,000.
for insurance?
For insurance?
Yeah.
So it's 100.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you said 40,000 reduction.
I
You
did
did.
another 10 because they gave to us at 10.5 and I took 10. and
Okay.
So
So it was 40 or 30?
we're taking
30.
40.
A total of 40?
So
Okay.
we're reducing.
But we said the posting was a total of 103.
So
That's- but then
she,
we're
the
also-
insurance is broken out of there, the benefits.
Yep.
The salary is 73,756, and then their benefits were 30,000.
Right,
There's
and
another
then
10.
And I reduced insurance by an additional 10 myself. That was my other adjustment, and that brought from what I had prior, the estimate on everything, 0.22 mils down. So now if after we get the numbers from the regional school, it would be, you're gonna use another 800 from fund balance.
We don't know.
Maybe a million from fund balance.
I mean, we put 1.2 back there.
Yeah, we went
earlier this year.
1.2 and on the sign. So it'd be up to you what you want to use from fund balance, if you want to think of that.
I'm just doing the arithmetic. The increase today before our discussion is 1,179,520. And then we just knocked off 559,303, leaving us with an increase of 622,17. Dividing that by the 13,877. Get us to 4.5. I did that right? Would you
Oh, I
do that?
didn't put all my numbers together. If you guys want to talk, I can put them in.
Yeah.
What did you say the total increase was? 6?
Say what?
What was the total increase?
6.2.
Well, the increase before the discussion is 1,179,520,
Right,
and we're going to reduce that by 559,303.
okay.
Leaving an increase of 622,17.
But BJ, of that 559, 100,000 is revenue.
Mhm.
The 449 is the expenditure side.
459.
Right. Well, I'm getting a 5.3% increase with those reductions.
Martha, I think the one other thing, I know you guys are applying for the TRIPS grant, that we had talked about might need to change is what we're contributing to the road fund. And that Ed needed to reevaluate the paving schedule.
We did have a conversation with him and we did make some changes to the paving schedule. Ed had misplaced his copy of the paving schedule, so he went ahead to put out bid, and then he missed a street or two. So that's why I'm really hoping that we get some money from the TRIPS grant, because that will help us immensely.
Right. Right.
Rogers Lake Trail should have been done this year. And they're in bad shape.
Yeah.
So we are,
Well, I think we just wanted to also reevaluate our 5-year projection and make sure that we're still on target.
we are gonna make the changes to the list. I don't think Anita's had a chance to do that yet, but we were moving things around with him. We met Monday morning at 9 o'clock and went over everything, and we'll make the changes to the big plan and we can have that for you the next time we meet. The grant, I believe, has to be in. Maybe it's June. I want to say it's June 1st.
Is it like a rolling
No,
approval process?
He's put it in. So I'll be,
So you won't hear till after June 1st if we get it or not.
yeah, be a while.
I mean, I think
But there's that.
figuring out this bus barn paving situation could be a big
Mhm.
help
I think we can,
if we
I
can.
think we can find a way.
And then I think just that, really looking at what the unassigned fund has in it and what we can use.
Mhm.
Would make a big difference too.
Well, the percentages I get are on the general government, including capital. Everything other than Region 18, with the reductions that Anita has articulated, is a 5.3% increase over last year. And the total, including Region 18, is a 6.1% increase over last year. So the 7.07% on the sheet is reduced to 6.1% with these cost savings.
Always looks better on my bigger screen, but on this screen, when I just put everything in, and I will double check.
Excuse me
again.
Currently, I'm showing for all other government, general government, would be 14671,575, which is a total budget increase over last year of $793,973. Of that increase in capital is $211,323. So of that percentage, it's 1.52%. And general government is 582,650, 4.2 of that increase.
Anita, you got a total increase of 790.
793.
793,967.
I got an increase of 730. Where's the $60,000? Well, I just took the initial increase of 1,179,000 and I subtracted 449,303.
Here's the math, something in there. Oh, the police one, yeah, I forgot the police. And the dollars,
Say what?
The police, the 73,756.
I forgot the police, yeah. I got the insurance part, I didn't get the police. Okay, 7/22/17,
I'm sorry, how
Yeah,
much?
That's what I have.
7/22/17,
the number I got.
7/22/017,
2/17,
2/17. Okay,
2/11/323
0.
is capital,
17, that's 0.
So 1.52.
1.52, and general government is 508,894, 3.67.
so it's 5.2%. Okay, I'm assuming that you haven't run any mill rate extrapolations, or have you? You have a piece of paper for us?
I did not because I wanted to do some of these changes, so I do have an estimated number for you, and I just.
Sure, whatever,
Not for the record. Not for the record, Michelle.
Not
with
for the
all-
record.
With all the changes we just made, currently I'm showing. And that's because last year you gave me 800, so we're not include it over. Last year it would be 1.08
1.08 increase of the mill rate.
increase.
And if we took $800,000 again
If we took.
from the, unassigned
Because a-
So last year's mill rate was 16 and change, right?
16.23, I think.
So now we're at 17.2 some odd.
We need to get it down.
It would be 0.76, 16.99.
And 0.76 is the
If we
increase.
took 800, it would be 16.99, would be the mill rate of 0.76 increase.
What if we took 1 million?
We took a million, it would be 16.91 and 0.68.
I mean, to the extent you have your calculator, I mean, my take home message is that it's hard to make a big change by putting in 800 or 1 million. I think the impact on the actual taxpayer and what they're paying is very subtle.
But it's cumulative. You know, if you make that change every year.
I mean, I'm not saying
Eventually.
don't do it. I'm
Right.
just,
I mean, otherwise, think about the fact that we're continuing to send more than $1 million a year into that undesignated fund. And
So-
that's all taxpayer money.
so we agree and, as you know, Anna and Andy and, Fred and I have been meeting and talking about this, and we met actually yesterday. And I just want to read you, the minutes, the statement we came out with at the minutes. Hold on. The undesignated fund is at 15.6 million. 1.5 was transferred to the undesignated fund at the end of the last fiscal year. As we exceed 37% of budget, Old Lyme moves into an unusual group of 5 to 7 towns in Connecticut with burgeoning undesignated funds. We agreed that reserves in excess of 30% of budget give diminished returns, for example, favorable bonding and other benefits. We're inclined to recommend that an amount of the undesignated fund which exceeds 30% of budget is eligible for transfer for this purpose that we're talking about right now. And we acknowledge that addition of amounts of $1 million or less makes small differences on tax bills. And I'm going to just let the other people who are in that conversation.
But just to repeat your numbers, what's the starting point for the undesignated fund number that you have there?
Well, that was as of
the-
July 30th last year.
So this report here
We sent 1.2.
gives us
That the auditors use.
15.6.
Well, but what
But-
was the number that you gave?
I quoted the number that's in here, which is 15.6, but I also acknowledged that after this report was created, we put another 1.5.
No. Oh, well, when you said we put another 1.5, how did we do that?
That's what we returned to the undesignated fund last year when the fiscal year closed.
But that is included in the 15.6.
No, it's
No,
not.
It's not.
Because
that
this
was
report
before the
ended on
end,
June 30th.
Not after the.
We had to wait for all of the,
This is where we ended last year's conversation,
yeah.
and nobody could understand, I don't think, the reason I was going through the exercise for projection
Yes.
is at June 30th of this year, what's the cash that we actually have?
Yes.
And we had two different time periods, and everyone was in confusion, and it was political season, so people were silly in the head about lots of different things. But it's important to be honest about what that number is and to have a good fiscal policy that's a guideline, because it's only a guideline, just in case. Because the other thing that's happened is we have significantly increased, once again, the risk of our town's tax rolls. Because with the revow, An awful lot of wealth has been now further shifted down towards the shoreline. So that has an effect as well. And when you look at those 5 to 7 towns, it's kind of a dog's lunch, and you don't know what the particulars are of some of those towns. Some you do, but it was interesting that there were very few shoreline towns.
We agree.
Yeah.
We agree.
So we,
Well, but I still want to fix the numbers. I don't understand. The auditors say that as of June 30th, our undesignated fund was 15.6 million.
well, I agree with, hold on, I agree with Dave that we need to get an actual number from Anita, but for our purposes, because we were just going off of something that was published, that everyone agreed on June 30th, this was the amount. So if we had that same exact amount right now, this is how much money we would have, and this is why we would choose to do it this way. But because we know it didn't go down. So anyway, we looked at a whole bunch of different things that different towns have been doing in order to mitigate the concept of them living near the shoreline. Because as we heard the auditor say, she said that last week, she's like, it doesn't add any additional risk that you're a shoreline town. And we were all kind of shocked that she would suggest that, but she said, no, we don't recommend or see anybody else doing anything like.
Yeah, she's not an actuary.
No, she's
an
not.
accountant.
She's just an accountant. So, but she hasn't seen that from anyone else either. So we started looking around, and Andy referenced something that Branford started doing, which our flood and erosion control had considered making a suggestion to do it back in 2017 or 2018, and actions hadn't been taken on it. But it was basically to create a resiliency fund. So rather than have within your undesignated fund. So you don't actually like create this special.
I'm the one that told Andy about it, and I also told Jim Lambos about it.
Yeah, but we've actually, our flood and erosion control actually worked on this like a long time ago and did a presentation. So we
conflating some things.
we were referencing some of this stuff, but that we, instead of just making this unassigned fund grow with a way that we weren't sure what we would end up doing with the money, aside from showing the bonds people that like we have a big pot of money, that we would allow ourselves the ability to use this money to a certain point. We wouldn't let it go. And we discussed this with the policy intern who's helping us create a draft policy around this. She specifically said you cannot go less than 17%, but you guys could create a higher number. We felt like we would like a higher number, but 17% is the accepted standard because that's 2 months of, costs and stuff like that. So if we decided to actually fund things for resiliency, and because we live in a coastal area, that would also be something that Branford has seen the bonds people look favorably on and keep them at a AAA rating, because they have seen that ahead of time and said this money is to be used for resiliency purposes, recognizing that there is things such as climate change and there are flooding events. And if you mitigate those ahead of time, then you don't have to necessarily work. Yes, if a giant hurricane comes, But at that point, even though the federal government is sort of like all over the place at the moment, they're still coming back, and there's still bills that are being passed in order to make community block grants available and fix things like Superstorm Sandy. So that's what we would have to lean on, because there's no way that we can fund that sort of recovery, but we can fund things that make these people who look at us and decide how much money are they willing to give us for other projects. They can say, okay, but they have this money set aside, and they understand that if someone wants to do beach erosion control, and that's what our flood and erosion committee are doing, we have acknowledged that that's appropriate. So one of the things that we thought we would do with the excess of 30% was say, we're going to leave that in the fund, but we're also going to suggest that that be used for these sorts of projects.
I don't, that may be further than the group has gone at this.
But I mean, I think that's an important discussion, because otherwise we're saying right now, well, we're going to take $1 million out and hope it works out. But that wasn't our discussion.
No.
That's not
We're not-
remains in the committee.
We're
Yeah.
not, but let me just say, what I understand you're saying, which is interesting, is that rather than just have a lump of money to offset a decrease in our grand list if there's a hurricane, we have a quote unquote informal designated fund to fund resiliency efforts.
Right.
So, yes,
okay.
the committee is thinking.
Considering this is
Can I
just a consideration.
Can you, I'm still trying to follow what is the committee recommendation and I'm not following.
We haven't come up with it yet, but before we got into distinct numbers tonight, because we didn't talk about distinct numbers, that I just didn't want anyone to think that we were suggesting we should go from 37% to 30 tonight.
Okay,
I think we're just introducing
But
the
that's
concept. as
fine. We're
resiliency fund to
we've
everybody.
introduced a new concept of creating a fund to pay for climate
Flooding.
flooding
The
problems.
remit of the committee was to write a policy, and we've got a draft, but we're nowhere near a mature enough conversation to present all of this to the larger group. So the statement that I read was really as far as we were willing to go, given that we've only met twice.
No, that's absolutely fair enough. And all I want to do is pick your brain to the extent that you guys have talked about this,
Okay,
with the caveats that you haven't made any decisions, but just get the
Okay.
benefit of where you are so far.
so there is a House bill that allows towns to set aside money for resiliency. And Anita kindly provided the committee with the guardrails about how that money can be invested. And so, as Anna pointed out, Branford has already taken advantage of this legislation, and we think it's a great idea. And Branford started with $1 million, which I think we can agree is like almost nothing in the face of something like Hurricane Sandy. But we're not prepared to say what number is correct, whether it's 1 million or 10 million, and of course, what the impact would be on the undesignated fund. So we're kind of trying to have a framework and pick out rough numbers, and 30% of our budget is a size of the undesignated fund. And at that margin, we feel like going above 30%, you're not really enjoying a lot of benefits anymore. You're not going to go from AAA to quadruple A, or the margin of.
But you may need money for sidewalks. You may need money for Grassy Hill.
Absolutely.
So there are other items that, are not about making people feel better because they save $10 on their tax bill that they're not going to notice.
Well,
So-
yeah, and that's certainly part of the discussions that we'll have, but let's take it one step at a time. What's the purpose of the legislation? Why do we need legislation to establish a resiliency fund? What does the legislation
There's
accomplish?
guidelines and there's a national resiliency fund. I actually met them last week.
Say that again?
A national resiliency fund committee. I met them last week at a retirement for the town of Branford's finance director. And that's how this is where, a lot of it came. I knew him. He retired just recently and he has a new person there. But he's known for what he did with that program there. So I mean, you can benchmark off a lot that they did there, and there's the national route to get other notes with.
I'm just asking, what does the Connecticut legislation do?
They're the ones they're the ones who put guidelines in place for it, and so that people aren't just putting something together. There's guidelines to everything.
So what counts as resiliency?
It's a
Yes.
statute.
Well,
It's a
well,
statute.
Yes.
You
Yes.
mentioned, Candace, something about investment. Does the resiliency fund give broader permission to invest the dollars than are otherwise available?
It has, there's a document that has guidelines as to what types of instruments you can use to invest that particular money with that particular earmark.
Okay. I want to go back to the numbers though. As of June 30th, and this is an iterative process, we're not jumping to any conclusions. The auditor said we have 15.6. And then you said, and it sounds a little familiar, but I don't remember, that we add to that 1.2.
Maybe Anita, do you know the exact number of the undesignated fund right now?
The undesignated fund as of 24-25, the end of it was 115,590,884.43, which is unassigned.
That's the 15.6.
Right. So 1,398,243.57 is assigned. It's part of our fund balance here, but it's assigned. It's all the different carryovers that you did. So that's 1.3. And then we have, it's non-spendable, what it is, it's like offsetting
right.
your AP. It's
But still, the
640.
undesignated fund remained at 15.6. That didn't change.
That was at the end.
But we decided to take 800,000 from that for this fiscal year. Right? So that's effectively a balance of 14.8.
No, the 15.6 is after
After the eight.
After
the
the
8
eight's
came
gone.
out.
No, the 15.6 is as of June
No,
30th.
2025, you won't get a new fund balance until this
25.
year is done.
So no, because the 8 would have come out for the July 1st start of the
Correct.
fiscal year.
Currently, we're doing fine, we have not used that.
If we do better than budget, we often don't even pull the
Right.
money.
Right.
You know, and I mentioned today, we've got $400,000 of additional investment income. So
Right,
we
And that's
typically do
why
better
it's-
than.
right.
budget,
It's really an accounting
When you
calculation.
look at the revenue sheet, it's gonna show you that we're actually doing better than, and we'll probably not touch you.
Right. But just to get our heads around your numbers, the 30%, when I do this, I don't look at the numbers the auditors do, but rather our budget for the coming year. Right? So our budget for the current year is a total of 45,394. So I'm just going to divide, you know, the number is 15.6. I think it's less than 37%.
We haven't gotten to 37 yet.
It's 34.4%. If you look prospectively, so we had 15.6 at the end of the year, and our budget for the coming year is 45,394, then it's 34.36%.
And there is one other thing that we still don't know at this time. Martha reminded me, because I sent her an email, on the WPCA clean water, that loan will probably start paying on it next year. So we have to figure out something, but we have nothing yet.
Okay, but again, just throw out numbers. 30% of the current year's budget is 13,618,000. The delta between the 15.6 minus 800 is 14.8. The 30% of this year's budget is 13.6. So that delta is $1.2 million. Again, with understanding that the subcommittee hasn't come up with any recommendations yet, if one were to use the 30% as sort of a fair benchmark, then we have an excess prospectively of about $1.2 million.
All else being equal.
Other things being equal, right?
Yeah.
I will say that let me give you one more thing. What's happening with the Region 18 debt? So this year, and it's included in the budget, compared to, the coming fiscal year compared to the current year, and included in Ian's budget is an increase in the debt service of 45. Our share of about 82.6% is an increase of 45,000. The following year, 27, 28, the increase in the debt service, our share is 307,000. The following year, 228,000. The following year, minus 124, then minus 699, then minus 682. So for the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to have an increased burden in the six-figure range, low six-figure range of debt service from Region 18, and then it's going to start coming down significantly. And my takeaway from that is it's something to take into account, but it's not a big driver, as it has been when we went from nothing to the renovation plan.
So to Dave's point, the committee actually talked also about generating a list of upcoming big ticket items, we imagine. There were some paving things that came up, a fire truck that came up. I think we all kind of know what some of them are. And, putting them on a schedule so that we can understand as best we can. It's obviously imperfect and has risk associated with it, but as best we can understand what we're going to be asking of the undesignated fund over the next 5 to 10 years.
We have that done for you. You know that.
I think we noted that too. So, I think Andy had a list in an email. So
No, we put it out on
I'm
an
sure.
Excel sheet. We've got 5 to 7
Okay.
years.
Could you send that to Candace so we can add it to
Sure.
the stuff that we're looking at?
We can send it.
It seems the fund should operate within a range to account for the lean years and the expensive years coming forward. It's just range.
Anita, you gave us, when we were talking about the mill rate, you gave us a mill rate of 1.08 mil increase. Was that after today's reductions? After today's reductions?
and that took us to 17.2. Is that right?
16.23.
No,
Yeah,
we're
that-
at 16.23.
Well, that would
That's our
increase
current, right?
the
Yeah.
mill rate to 16.99 divided by 16.23 is a 4.7% increase. Okay, so that's where we stand with no withdrawals from surplus. Right, so then the question is, do we want to reduce that increase, and if so, by how much?
So
It's a question, when do we start talking about the revenue side of this? Or how hard are the revenue numbers basing this on?
Well, this is from Anita, includes our assumed revenue numbers.
Which could be higher or lower.
Yeah, it could be higher or lower. I think, investment income is going to be higher. Historically, we're conservative in our budgeting. So typically at the end of the year, I think there are some exceptions, David, maybe some years back, where the actual performance for the year was worse than budget. But most of the time it's better than budget as a combination of lower expenses than budgeted and higher revenues than budgeted. Yep.
Okay.
I think I was surprised that the collected taxes by percentage were lower last year than they had been in prior years, which isn't typical. It was
The
only,
collection rate was a little.
yeah, the collection rate was a little lower. It's not
So far.
it wasn't incredibly significant, but I was surprised by that just because it's usually hovering right around 99 and it had dipped into the 98s, which was still above it, just barely above what we budget for, but we felt comfortable going up because every year we were over 99%. So I don't know why that would be.
Number that we have now, that's.
Yeah, we use the 98.
Calculation.
We went up to like
All of these calculations are based on all of the assumptions, the
it
expense
was
assumptions
25,
as
yeah,
well.
and we were at like 98.8 something, I think, was her collection rate. So,
How much did we increase the tax collector by this year?
yeah, seriously.
What do you mean?
The tax collector's office went up very significantly
Right,
this
because
coming budget.
our part-time is going full-time.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah,
But collections are going down.
Not a great investment.
I think that
Judy Tooker had her issues, but she was tighter than two coats of paint, so.
Anita, if we, just for discussion's sake, if we withdrew $1 million from surplus, what would that do to the mill rate?
16.91.
Yeah. I already talked about that.
I'm sorry,
16.91.
16.91.
And Anita, what we have the sheet that we've had for the last several years since you've been here, and then prior to that, where we've got the various
I
alternatives.
have it and I didn't want to do it until we made the adjustments.
Yeah.
I do have it, but I have it up right now and I'm looking at it.
Yeah. I thought-
Well, and then you
I thought
also
that
want
you-
the final school
Reason
number.
why,
There's a
You
bunch.
gotta run stuff by the Board of Selectmen. So we still got, this is all very preliminary. It's not just.
And that's why I want to run everything that we just talked about, all the reductions by the Board of Selectmen, but I wanted to run it by you first for your blessing before I bring it to the Board of Selectmen and not have your blessing.
Yeah.
And we may find something else.
And
So I
and
think that,
again, this is in draft form, so I didn't want it to be in the newspaper tomorrow.
the discussion
They've been
of
calling.
what we're gonna take from the undesignated fund, I think is preliminary at this time.
And I think all of it is
I think
very.
until
it's
we-
about-
Have the other things buttoned down.
Yeah.
It's not worth having that conversation, but to have it a high level, you know, what we're thinking is
But I
fine.
would just start thinking about
You don't vote on it here.
So
he just
presents it and then it goes to referendum.
Yeah.
And again,
Goes to
just if you want to think about.
Okay. Yeah, because it's basically just a bill, because they're sort of their own
No
government.
numbers right now, what they are going
You can do what he
to
wants.
start. We did get,
It's by law.
the
No,
state
what-
trying to figure
there's a
out
law.
the 2% loan.
He can't
that
take
they
it, and give
did
it back to
for
us. We'll get it back
WPCA.
when he's
So
on
we're
his
gonna
over
have to
budget.
start
When he's
paying
over
that
budget.
back.
Every
We
year
don't
they
know
send us a check back.
exactly when. It's gonna be next.
So when he
fiscal year.
hasn't budgeted correctly.
But
No,
right
so
now
it's
that
not that.
is.
Look at me, I
hoping
return the
that
line.
Before
It's a combination
the
of your
April,
revenues and
we
your
have
stuff.
numbers.
But it's the same as homeowners. It's pretty straightforward. It's 20-year straight line amortization, right?
He's got $3.5 million in the fund. I don't think so,
Oh.
only because.
But is it 2%?
Can we have one
Find out,
conversation?
because originally.
Yeah.
they
Hey,
had-
guys, it's really hard to hear what Anita's saying.
We can't hear her.
Chair,
That's right.
I'm
I'm done.
Yeah.
No, I won't hear her.
Who's up?
We're trying
we
to have
were,
one
I'm sorry.
conversation instead of two.
So this is very preliminary.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
bottom line.
And as of April 1st, I will have, the definite numbers, after first from the regional school. Cause that could change if our percentage goes down, that will bring our numbers down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just what we're doing here, $100, $100,000 is not gonna change it that much, but.
Somebody
If
just needs
we
to
go
buy it.
back to, the 81 percentage, that's a big difference.
And the $400,000 that was being discussed about potentially dredging somewhere, that's not in here, am I correct?
No,
No.
Okay, so I'll be sure. Another big number I'd looked at over the time period. Yeah.
We heard you were gonna do it for 150.
I don't know if we're gonna do, we should do it. It's the bigger.
175 total.
All right, well, I think this is a good start. Does anybody have anything else you want to say tonight?
No.
No. Martha, you can't be here next week, right?
We don't have a.
well, I don't think we're gonna have any change in any of this till
We
after
were gonna
April
have a
1st.
meeting next week.
Yeah.
We were,
That's what I was gonna say, so we're
I'm
gonna,
not here next week and I can't be here next week.
yeah. so
I
we-
can't be here next week either.
And
I can't be.
I can,
That's
I can be here.
You don't have to
you're
go,
right.
You don't have to go to the chorus concert? No,
We had
I don't
planned-
have anyone
we
in
had
chorus,
planned
thank God.
we had planned on giving you a week off because you're ahead of schedule
Doesn't
and,
make a difference.
and so we were
What's the end
going
of
to
the
give
road?
you a week
Ahead?
off.
Okay, so we'll not meet next week.
You're gonna finish but you are gonna finish your
Agenda.
business,
check, right? Because I have things on it.
Yeah, no. But I'm just looking at the calendar. What's the week after next? What's the date?
That would be I think the
I think it's,
31st, but
30th or something.
we were gonna, we were thinking you'd cancel that one too. And then the Board of Selectmen would meet, Anita will go over all of the numbers with us on the 6th, you'll meet the 7th, and we'll have a final budget.
Well, and the town meeting is like 2 weeks after that?
Yeah. So as soon as you finish on the 7th, you'll start sending me your notes for your PowerPoint presentation so I can work on it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether that's cutting it too close to just have one meeting where we're sure we can finalize.
You'll have,
everything.
you can have two. You're scheduled
You
for
can
the
have a
7th and the 14th.
Yeah, because I don't think nothing's really gonna change
Right.
until the Board of Selectmen meet and discuss these changes and we get the number for Region 18, which we don't get until April 1st.
So
Well,
that
actually,
means
we
we
won't
don't
get
meet
until
until the
the
7th.
Right, so
Yeah.
it doesn't really make sense to meet until the 7th, because there's nothing material that we can change, unless we want to go back through this ourselves and cut some stuff. But I think it would be better if we looked at this and I think if we looked at this and we said, this isn't good enough, Martha, you gotta cut another $500,000 like that. We did it last year.
Mhm.
And we said, this is the selectmen's budget. If we don't think we can pay for this, then it goes back and we give these guys 2 weeks to,
But I have the
Come back.
sense we might want to cut a little more.
yeah.
So I guess my question is, do we want to meet on March 31st? We won't have final
I would
numbers.
vote no.
Hmm?
I would vote no. It's,
I think
Again, you-
2 weeks
you don't have
after we
all
have
your
final
numbers.
numbers is. Because Martha might find some more things to cut in that time
Yeah.
on her own.
yeah, that's
Exactly. I think that's what we should encourage.
Yeah.
Last time I did.
Yeah.
You did great. We said cut another couple $100,000 and you
I think
did.
that'd be helpful.
Okay, so we're gonna meet on the 7th.
Yes.
Our next meeting will be on
She
the
did it last year.
I know
you did. I
was. What'd you say?
Our next meeting will be on the 7th.
April 7th?
7th, that's my brother's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
I'll invite him. And, and then in an emergency, we can meet on the 14th, or we can call a special meeting.
Yep.
If we have things to hammer out.
Okay,
So you found that, so.
Then somebody will blame.
amazing. Let's write that down on here.
April 7th.
So
Okay,
are we on other business yet?
say what?
Where are we on this?
All right, so
On the,
did
on
you
the
say
agenda,
April
we're
7th
going
was the
to
next day
other
of
business,
meeting?
Yes.
environmental study proposal appropriation.
Besides that, good.
This isn't,
Just tell us narratively what's going on with that.
okay, so this is 102-1 Mile Creek Road where we have 8 acres of land. We have a right of way into the back of it. And late August, September area, Michael Barnes and Jim Lampos took a walk there. And what they found sort of surprised them is that there was what we would call like a farmer's dump where old cars, glasses, etc., were dumped. There is a small river outlet that leads to the Black River there. It's a beautiful piece of property. We don't really have any intention to do anything with it. Actually, the person at 102 Mile Creek is asking to build a new house there, take that house down, build a new house, but he still has to remain and give us the right of way. Anyway, they saw, Jim found a bottle. He figures this happened, the dumping was probably in the 1940s, 50s, but environmentally, we should find out what's there. So when we were at the CCM convention in December, Jim got talking to a company called TRC out of Windsor. He said they'd come down and give us a free look, and they came and walked it with Jim and said that we could do a site assessment for $4,500. So I could take this out of engineering, out of Ed's engineering, but it wasn't really engineering. So I didn't feel comfortable doing that because it's really an environmental assessment. So I'm like, well, where does this come from? And Anita and I bounced it around, and I just didn't feel like I should make this decision. I was like, is it a special appropriation? What is it? Because we don't really have this. The only environmental testing that we have in it is for the landfill and occasionally for water testing. So I just wanted your input on this $4,500. If you tell me to take it out of engineering, I will. Otherwise, you want to give me an appropriation of $4,500 for selectmen's miscellaneous, you could do that too. But I didn't want to just make this decision. And we talked about this for Board of Selectmen too. We wanted guidance, like this is a totally different ballpark that we've ever been in. But once we have this assessment, we'll be able to apply for brownfields to clean it up. And that probably will not cost us. We can probably get 100%. And that's our goal because we don't think whatever's there, we would hate to think was going into the Black Hall River.
So the idea is that you would ultimately apply for the grant with the submission deadline of January 28th, 2026, as described in the email from Aaron McBride. Is that right? In the email that was sent to us?
Yes,
I think
like, that would be something that we would be able to, I don't know if it was the exact, was that a follow-up? I didn't, that was
So-
attached to it.
That's
Yeah,
from
if
Senator
you
Murphy.
scroll
So there-
down, it's, hi, Martha, I would suggest attending the assessment webinar, blah, blah, blah.
Well, that was
With Katie Dang, who's the Brownfields project manager.
okay, we did that.
And then there's an email from Aaron McBride.
I didn't realize that was all attached. Sorry.
Yeah.
And so Aaron describes this grant that you're going for. And the only question I have is that the grant is described as turning community assets that can attract jobs and promote
No,
economic revitalization.
no,
And I'm wondering how many jobs and economic
No,
revitalization.
that's not what it is. We went, it's the brownfields assessment. There's something else. She's talking about two different things, but the one that we're talking with Katie Dang is a brownfields assessment. And she told, when we went to do it this year, she told Katie, we would have to have a site assessment before we could apply for the brownfields. So Candace, lots of times there are other parts to pieces of it in the grants, and there's a separate area for brownfields. And it's not that. Believe me, we did a ton of research on it. So I'm sorry that you got I'll just tell Jim that we're not doing it. It's okay. I don't want to get
I-
into this.
I don't-
Brought it forward to you.
And I'm asking questions. I'm
Okay.
not suggesting it needs to get shut down. I'm asking questions about, just so we know what we're getting into, because financially, a phase one always leads to a phase two. Most companies would suggest, and if you read through his like caveats at the end,
Mhm.
there's a lot of add-ons. Because a phase one leads to a phase two, because really the phase one is just telling you who bought the property, what it ever was before. And we already know who bought the property. We know what it was before, and we know that it's now been a dump. So the next logical thing to do is a phase two. So
So what I would have to do is go back to my emails with Katie Dang, who is actually the coordinator for the grants, and go back through all of those and tell you, but I'm quite sure, and my memory is correct, that you just do the simple phase one, and we're gonna get you the grants for the phase two and the cleanup. And this may tell us that it's not anything, and we won't have to worry.
have you guys thought about just cleaning it up? Like,
Well,
what's that cost? Like just taking the garbage that's there, like the truck and what, or the car or
It's a
whatever?
lot. It's dug, it's in the ground, so it would be,
It's a buried dump. and
It's
you
not
think there's a
just-
Risk.
we
Yeah.
don't think that, I mean, if you guys are gonna dredge, I guess we could go clean it. If you guys are gonna do the dredging, I guess we could. go-
Nobody's doing any dredging.
Just,
But so I'm looking at the GIS link that was sent with the email for 102-1 Mile Creek Road. And it says it's 1.8 acres.
Correct.
So I'm confused because now we're talking, did you say it was 8 acres?
It is.
It's 1.8.
It's only 1 point. Yeah.
I thought it connects to another property, but I've also had conversations with Greg Fatoma about it from open space, because there's another person who owns property next to it that they connect. I thought it was 8 acres, but I could be wrong.
So maybe we should just
On the
take a step
proposal,
back
it says
and-
1.8.
and understand the scope more.
I think if you do the phase one and you think that's necessary, then I mean, I don't think you need an extra appropriation to do it. It's only $4,500.
So, but do you want me to put it under engineering? I just didn't feel it was legit.
What might we use
I mean, engineering.
the property for? Is it a potential, that there was,
I don't think it
Nothing.
would be, it would never be open. It would definitely be anything with the right of way. Anyone could go in and walk on it. And do whatever they wanted, but
Is it
Um,
a space harbor management is interested in?
I don't think so. I think it was really and truly that, I think that somebody on a walk discovered the dump. And I think Michael called Jim and said, I think you should come see this.
let me just read this from the minutes of the Open Space Commission on June 24th of last year. Town property at 102 1 Mile Creek Road. This 1.8 acre parcel is owned by the town of Old Lyme, and there was interest from a private party in purchasing it. Open Space has discussed a possible conservation easement on an abutting private property.
Right.
If the commission and owner proceed, the town parcel may serve as an anchor to the conserved private property and be worth retaining. A motion was made by Greg Fatuma to discuss the property with the first select woman, blah, blah.
And the neighbor does not want to do the.
They don't, then we'll do
They
it.
don't want to put it into the conservancy at this point in time. So I know that's where we are. And then we're just came in to play.
I just, I mean, Martha, I do appreciate you, looking into this and the stewardship, but I think there is a concern that this might lead to something more than we want. And I know you're saying we could get a grant to clean it up, but
Well, but
and I'm not familiar with the extent of what's there, so it truly could need cleaning up, but I just think we just should be very careful what we get into.
Yeah, we're gonna be of knowledge as soon as we do a report. So
There's gonna find something,
Exactly.
there's gonna find something. And, as you walk around town, I mean, there are properties where people have dumped things in the past, or their trash and the rubbish from like 20, 30 years ago.
I mean, the property that like
is there
nearly
really-
abuts this property is horrendous.
I wonder if there's really, sort of toxic things there that really need to be concerned about, or if it was just somebody's, dump. But again, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I just think we need to be careful when we get into.
I mean, since we're offline, I don't know
Not.
the direction, all right, well, the direction of groundwater in that area, I don't know, but there are properties nearby that are clearly not well taken care of. And
Sold one.
have stuff that's been there for a long time, so you could end up finding stuff on our property and then have to prove that it's coming from someone else's property. I just want you to know all of those facts, and as long as you're okay with that, then yeah, proceed with it, but that particular area of town is not like pristine looking from the people who maintain the properties in that area. So,
Well, I guess my question is whether having more information rather than less information increases our liability. In other words, if we're deemed to know about, pollution in a piece of property, does that impose more obligations on us than we simply own the piece of property that's polluted?
Yes.
That knowledge is worse than ignorance?
Well, especially when it goes wrong eventually.
Mhm.
The document comes out. So it's a tough deal. Are you, what's the greater risk? The risk that you are polluting because we own it now, or the risk that something down the road? So it's a legal risk issue.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know that Jim wanted to be online tonight because he wanted to be able to discuss this and his concerns, but he couldn't because he had another commitment. So, I can tell him that you'd like to talk to him because he's really the one driving this and I'm just the presenter.
Yeah.
But we didn't come here for permission to do it. We voted on Board of Selectmen unanimously that we thought that we should do this phase one. I came on my own saying, hey, I want to be transparent and I don't want to sign something off to engineering, which isn't really engineering. So I came to ask the people who keep the checkbook legit and asked for, where would you like me to do it? You are telling me that you don't want me to do it, and that's fine for the time being. You want more information, but I will get all the information from Katie Dang. I will make sure that you see that would qualify, and I will have Jim come the next time in April, and he can present his concerns about this property and the environmental impact that he sees.
Okay, so it's not an urgent matter, so we can sit on this for a
No,
while.
it's just that we've
Yeah,
had it
discuss
since
it.
January and we wanted to let Ryan know that we were acting on it, and we told him that we approved it. And then Jim said, will you sign it? And I said, I won't sign it until I can legitimately classify it into the budget.
So that's the differentiator. You're not coming for permission. You're coming to find out where can we put this
Right.
in the budget. Okay,
I
so
didn't want to I was trying to be legit and it went a whole different direction.
But it's certainly something that should be attended to. And I think all the Board of Finance is saying that, we have some questions and more information would be
Okay.
beneficial.
So I do have another,
I think that what you said, what the question you raised earlier is really the critical one, whether property that we own is at the moment leaching contaminants into any adjacent property. In other words, if it is a current source of pollution for others, we have to stop doing that.
I think we were more concerned about the waterway. The biggest thing was the waterway that it's next to.
And whether it's leaching into the waterway.
That's right.
Well, I agree.
So I do have one other thing to ask.
is it a
so-
must or a tell?
Well, it's a definition of your bid policy. So we, in our capital expenses, we have the $200,000 for the Halls Road sidewalks for engineering. We asked for the proposal, which is in your book, from Nathan Jacobson, who is our town engineer. And when we were having a discussion at the Board of Selectmen, Jim said, well, that's over 173. That proposal for engineering is over the $20,000. So perhaps we should go out to bid. But then when I spoke to other CEOs and things, they said, well, it is your town engineer. And Jacobson is just our town engineer. And then when I mentioned it to Aaron Mortensen, he was a little he goes, we're not gonna be your person. And he goes, we're your town engineer. I said, well, part of the bid policy. So he said, can I read it? So he came back and just said, I appreciate you giving me the bid policy. And he said, the application section of your policy states that, quote, policy shall apply to all except under section 9, expenditures for routine professional services who are appointed to handle ongoing routine town business on a regular basis, such as, but not limited to, the town attorney, et cetera. Meaning like town engineer as well. And he said, I believe Nathan Jacobson as town engineer is an et cetera in that exemption. And we were selected by a formal RFQ process for town engineer to perform ongoing and routine professional services, and designing a sidewalk in town is a town engineer service, making the bid policy procedures not applicable. And I do believe that they think they did the probably the engineering for Ferry Road as well, for Tim. So he's saying that according to the policy, he feels that there's an exemption. If you would like, I'll get a legal rep on that, but that'll cost us money. Idea of what it is. But so do I go out to bid, which will put the Halls Road project about 9 to 12 weeks behind? Or do I allow to use his professional services because he is our town engineer?
How did we pick him as a town engineer? Like, what was the process for that?
We
Was there a
had
bid for that?
We had an RFP proposal. We interviewed 3, maybe it was 4. This was just as when I was a select person, I did sit in on it. And land use, they had the land use people come, Harold Thompson, Eric Knapp. I think Paul Erzell, no, Paul wasn't there.
Was there a time limit on,
Rachel Gaudio was there for inland wetlands.
was there a time limit on how long their appointment as town engineer was, or was it just like,
No, it's just like hiring your town engineer, and they keep providing you with good services. We didn't go back at all. We have a retainer. We don't pay them anything unless we use their services.
How
So-
much do you anticipate this project will cost?
Well, their proposal is, it's in your book, is 173, but Tim's on the Halls Road Committee, so I'm pretty sure we're gonna get that down because he nickels and dimes them.
173.
That's the most that they anticipate. For permit, it's permitting, study, all the different environmental study things that you have to do. It's all in the proposal, which is all in your budget book.
I mean, it does seem to me that if they had to go through essentially a bid process to become
I
our
agree.
town
Yeah.
engineer, like that would be silly to make them bid again.
Well, this is not
It's a
routine.
project? Yeah.
Yeah,
This is not routine.
was
and-
Ferry Road routine?
Yeah,
It
No,
was.
the whole, this is not.
It was like a tree removal
Routine,
thing.
item for a town engineer.
Sidewalk.
So it's a discrete project in my personal view. But also, are we doing a survey? Because for 12 years, I've been talking about the starting point needs to be a proper survey of whatever area is going to be affected. And it started out with Huntley as well as Halls Road, as well as Lime Street. And if we're not starting out with the survey, I think we're putting the cart before the horse once again.
It's, I don't have it open, so I don't have my book, but I
Yeah.
can tell you what the proposal includes. And we do have the BSC design concept and that were
They
originally.
didn't do a survey though.
I know, but it's all in there what we have because they took Nathan Jacobson went and got everything they had from BSC.
Yeah.
The state has also done some work because it's state property and they have talked to Nathan Jacobson. Kim, do you have it? Are you able to find it quickly?
I don't know if I can find it quickly. I'll look for it.
It's Nathan Jacobson to Martha Shoemaker is the date January 28th, 2026.
Yeah. And can you just, if you go, I think there's a list page, Candace, that sort of goes through one by one.
So I just I'll just make one comment really quickly while you're looking. So my only concern with just automatically kind of giving them the green light is that this is not like routine maintenance. It is a special project they're good. I just don't want to set the expectation that anytime we do something that's not routine maintenance, they're our go-to guy because they gave us, because we have them as routine maintenance. So I guess my thought would be, as a taxpayer, I'd probably want a couple of other people to come on board and give a bid, just because, again, it is outside of that routine maintenance. Now, you guys might disagree, which is totally fine. I just don't want it. I want it on record kind of with the idea that like, hey, this is separate. It's just separate from that. If they're hired as the routine maintenance people, that's great, but this is not that. This is something different.
Yeah, they didn't design the grid, right?
No. But that, and I'll bring you up to date on that as well.
Would we normally, if we had a town engineer that sat in town hall, would
That's
they design?
They would do this.
And we
I mean, I think that's the question. We
That's
look at
what he's
this as a
saying. He said
special
if you had
project,
Tom
but-
Metcalf, still working
Yeah,
there or
I agree.
anyone else,
I do
he'd
kind
be
of
doing this work. And sub
favorite.
pulling out the whatever. So if we had an engineer upstairs, he'd be paying this job, doing this job.
I mean,
But-
on that line, do
But
they,
conceivably, anybody that is going to go out to bid is gonna bid the exact same way that they have bid. They're gonna see the specs for the bid and they're gonna match
That's not-
those specs.
Okay,
Right?
it's the connectivity grants. You have to work within the parameters of it. So you want someone who's worked on them. So that is important.
Okay.
And they have done that. And so
The amount was 170 something.
he knows the grant
This is way below
and he's
that.
done it.
This is stormwater or something.
Is that,
What's in here from Jacobson is about stormwater
that's not
general
it.
permit.
I have public education program implementation
Did you not put the one in
for 14.6 to 17.
Hold on. It's supposed to be in your book.
Section is,
And capital.
I would think it would be
Flipping
in
through,
capital.
looking for it. I mean,
Okay,
I don't know how you would do, I see what you're saying and I see where Maria is coming from on this too. I do feel like he has a claim on that. Like if this is considered, I guess it would be, is this considered routine or not? For us, it's a really big project, but for a lot of other towns, it's not. Like building sidewalks is not that big a deal. It is something your town engineer might do. So I don't know how you decide on that.
We can't say that he has a claim on it without seeing the RFP and the response to the RFP and understanding what is it that we agreed he could do for us, right?
to be our town engineer, BJ, because we,
But there needs to be a definition of what
Well,
does
that
that
was-
mean to
it
be our
was-
town engineer? That's
Yeah, we got nothing.
right.
I'd have to go back and it was 6 years ago, 5
Right.
years ago.
And I would be
Like a timeline
surprised.
on
if
that.
I would have
if
to find it.
He had the right to do
Indefinitely?
every engineering project that the town has. So I mean, I would think
They do.
more substantively, the question is, do we want to go out for an RFP? Because we think that somebody else might do it better or cheaper. In other words, I would doubt that we have a legal obligation to have these guys do it. The question that you were asking is, do we have a legal right to let them do it under the bid policy?
We'll also pull their contract because Tim signed it. I'll have,
But then think about, what do we want to do?
Yeah, what's best for the town? Because a town our size, usually it's one guy who's the town engineer and he coordinates RFQs and RFPs. So that's what he or she does.
well, they also do other things. They go out to do surveys and things like
Then
that.
they'll
that they
get some
need.
permits and that sort of thing, but it's a lot different. It's like using Sussman Shapiro. When we had a sole proprietor, they were coordinating and you didn't have Sussman Shapiro doing every piece of legal work for the town like they do right now. So I think
They
that
still
those,
don't do all the legal work because when we had our former
it's,
legal counsel didn't have land use experience, so they pulled their own land use attorneys in.
right, which is fine. They coordinated that, but I'm saying it's the same analog. So, but where I started with this is if we're not starting with surveys this go
I
around,
know we are. I know we are because he actually sent me an email and said, this is the first survey we need to start on. And that's when I said to him, we might have to put the brakes on this. And so that's when he asked to see the bid policy.
okay, so we just don't have a copy of
I
the
don't,
one
I thought
seventy-three.
Anita swears it was
He
in
knows,
there.
the bid
but never
policy
done.
knows that he believes that he's a shoo-in. I mean, right? Like, I mean, most people would be like, oh, okay, put it out to bid.
I don't like that term, Maria.
The
The
shoo-in
shoe-
piece?
No, that's not appropriate. He's a professional and he just said, I don't understand this. We're your town engineer. And he said, can you tell me why? And I told him and he said, can I read it? And I said, yes. So they're not in there.
I'm not trying to make it sound like they're not qualified. That's not that,
That, it's not
But-
but it's not.
but the idea that he has the expectation that he would be able to do it does make me pause, Martha. I mean, I'm just gonna say, it just makes me pause.
Well, he was the person I called. He has already sat in on the initial meeting with the connectivity grant people. He has already sat in, he helped us write the grant for the connectivity grant. He,
Vendor transfers.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Anita. With the day,
Because we're transferring it to the Halls Road Fund.
right?
There it is. Subsurface investigation.
I feel like this would be a little bit easier if it was like a little bit more defined, and maybe it is someplace that just says like, hey, Nathan Jacobson does all of this stuff for us when an opportunity comes up, because every 4 years we go out to bid and look for a town engineer and they keep winning the bid and we keep being happy with their services. Like, I feel like that's a different conversation than, yeah, like a bunch of years ago, we signed a thing with them and
It's routine maintenance.
it's, and this may be under that contract, it may be routine maintenance, in which case we don't even have to have this conversation. But what it, like, if we don't define those things, then I think it does get sticky. And I think it gets sticky for him too, because he's looking at $173,000 contract and being like, I'm not losing this. I'm gonna hang on to
First
this.
of all,
Right, he has an incentive.
First of all,
Services, professional services, you don't.
Correct. Yeah, but 173,000 is kind of like a big, like, that's a lot of man hours. So.
well, why don't you
It's not
read
the
what
original.
it includes? Because I don't have it
Not
in
your
front of me.
relationship with us.
Well, I think
There's this,
there are two different questions. One, whether we're permitted to use the exception in the bid policy to let him do the work. And second, and my guess is that reasonable people can disagree about that. But the second more substantive question is, do we want to? Right? Does the Board of Selectmen want to assign the bid, the work to them without going out and seeking competitive bids? But I wouldn't think the Board of Selectmen should feel bound by the contract we have with them to give the work to them if we'd rather put it out to bid. That's all.
Did you have an opinion either way? I mean, would you prefer that they do the work?
I like the work they do. They're very thorough and they're very good about keeping us on task. If they need something for us, they're on us. And if they don't hear back from us in 48 hours, they're right back at it. Like, did you say you were going to get that to me today? But
I mean,
I know that you, we have a main office. I mean, Michelle will tell you, main office, 3 people, and that we are the ones that write the RFP. And it takes a great deal of time to put out an RFP. So it means that Katie's tied up for days and I'm feeding her information and we're formatting and putting it out. And then we have a legal notice, which costs us money. We have to put it out for legal notice. Then we have to wait so many days. And then we have bid opening. And then you have to clarify the bid. And then you have to make sure that the contract that they write to you is actually so it's a 12-week process. It's a 12-week process. In that time, Halls Road Sidewalk Committee can begin meeting, which Tim is coming in on Monday to put together a beginning agenda for that. But it will put them basically at a standstill for a while.
Here's the other issue that I have in reviewing their proposal. Like, I would want an owner's rep in essence, which would be a town engineer to look over this and see whether attending one Halls Road Committee after the preliminary design is enough for us as a town. That they have two suggestions in the survey section for folks that say, unless you have an objection, we suggest Davidson Environmental of Chester, Connecticut. Okay, but there's no RFP or RFQ requirement. It's just their suggestion unless we have an objection to it. And the same goes with, we propose utilizing the services
This is
of
their-
our
this is their
affiliate,
subcontract.
Land Survey and Technical Services for subtask 1.2 through 1.5. It's just fraught with kind of contradictions and things that I would expect a town attorney to be objective about. And it doesn't feel that way to me. So
So you would like us to basically write an RFP, basically stating the thing, let me just walk it through. RFP.
no, but you're putting words in my
No,
mouth,
I'm just-
Martha.
I'm- no.
Here's what I would
David,
like.
I'm asking you for, I'm telling you what I'm hearing. And if I'm wrong, then you can correct me.
But let me just truncate it because it's 9 o'clock and we spent way too much time on a bunch of stuff. We now have a Halls Road Committee, which we haven't had for a long time, right? We put it,
6 months.
yeah, but we just got it up and running recently.
No, they were appointed yesterday. They have not met yet.
Right. So they were appointed yesterday. So that is just getting up and running. We have this long letter from Jacobson, our town engineer, to go through a whole bunch of stuff. I think I'd like the committee as their first task to review what Jacobson has proposed as the starting point.
Okay.
That's what
so-
I would
So you would
suggest.
like them to decide if they need to go out to RFP, but in the meantime, I probably should get a legal opinion because I don't want Jacobson to quit on us when they're in the midst of other projects. For
That's
for
fine.
the various
If you
things.
feel that that's
I just
truly,
don't,
risk.
I
Well, I
just
think
wanna-
that makes sense because if the legal opinion is this is considered
Above and beyond the
routine,
scope of the
above and
routine.
beyond what it is, then yes, you go out to bid. And then if it's not, then it is what it is. And they get it. And that's fine.
is our bid policy passed? Have we voted on it?
I asked you that when I became a select person, because according to the notes on the bottom, it was amended in 21, but never, I cannot find note where you voted on it. I went through all your meeting minutes. I could not find it. Bonnie seems to recall that you voted on it at one point in time. She thought it was 19, but then I found one note, so I handed it to Andy, one of the first or third, the first round of budget meetings that I went through as
But we
select
don't know.
and said, did you vote on this?
Yeah,
I believe Candace, you have copies of that though, because I think
There's a
Anita,
2018 package, which has a whole bunch of policies.
I
in
think it's in
And
there.
that's what I
We've
said
been
to you.
particularly focused on other policies in there, which I can guarantee you are not final because they still have handwritten like edits all over them.
That's from,
So if there are other.
Those are from
pol-
Tim, but I have,
But if there are other policies in that package that are incomplete, I would hardly be surprised.
the one I found was from bid that I found was from 2019.
that's what we've been following. Because when,
I think that's
Yeah,
right. That's a de
I think
facto
every time we revisit this, we come up with the conclusion that it was fully baked, but never passed by the Board of Selectmen nor the Board of Finance. So,
2019 one said it was, it had a date on the.
Mhm.
Well, if we have no bid policy, then we're unconstrained.
Says
We
it
can
was
do whatever
amended
we
by
want.
the.
Right.
There you go.
So wait.
But if we
wait,
voted on it
that's-
in
that's where we
2019.
And then it was amended in
Yeah.
2021.
Maybe it should be done.
Rewriting a lot of
Martha,
this stuff.
yeah, that's fine, but it needs to,
Vote on it.
Katie has raised some questions about this contract.
I'll just,
Moving something.
Has anybody from Sussman Shapiro looked at the contract and said it's okay?
totally fine.
no,
Yeah.
it's more, I mean, I feel it's more of a proposal.
If somebody asked me
So
for
we
the-
haven't gone into like I haven't gone down through the nitty gritty with him at the moment, but because that's when I said to him, I think I might have to go out to bid. And he was really taken aback.
Okay,
He was also out at 8 o'clock this morning.
I mean, I could see where he'd be, this is clearly a lot of work and he probably made the assumption that because he's been included in all of the other meetings, that this was just a foregone conclusion that he was the engineer of record on this. So I can see where he's confused and I can see where, you know, you were like, I'm not sure about this, hold up, because this isn't a $5,000 project. This is a big deal for us. So yeah, let's have Sussman Shapiro double check it and say, if this is the bid policy, this is covered or not covered, because that answers the question. And none of us here, I think, can do that.
Okay,
Is the bid policy in effect, first and foremost?
Well, if it was voted on in 2019,
And then amended in 2021.
then it has to be.
I don't know.
That's what-
you were all here.
No, I
You
wasn't.
were here. No, but David should know.
well,
You were there.
And every time I revisit it, it was something that hadn't been acted.
I brought it up to I brought copies of it and I
That's
gave
It doesn't matter. It was a long time ago.
okay.
as we sit here tonight, we don't have the bid policy in front of us and we don't know whether or not the bid policy permits this to be a no bid contract. But it makes sense for Sussman Shapiro to take a look at the bid policy and to tell you whether you are permitted to avoid an RFP.
Okay,
And if they say yes, then, you know, chat with the Board of Selectmen and see whether you want to exercise that right. As I said before, I doubt it's mandatory that you assign this to them. But if you want to, and it's permitted, okay with me.
okay.
Anything else? I have one quick confirmation. At a meeting or two ago, we discussed the methodology for assigning grants to the beach association. And I said, historically, it's been a two-part process, first based on budget, but then adjusted to actual. And I recommended changing that to awarding the grant solely based on the prior year's actuals and having it be a one-step process and a one-step grant. And I think everybody thought that was fine. I just want to make sure that I remember correctly.
Are you gonna put that as policy, BJ, so that we can put it into the policy book?
Sure.
Because then we won't have to revisit it for a while. Because
Yeah, there's an existing policy that is the complicated one, and I would revise that to make it the simpler one. Okay with everybody?
because our policy intern is here for till the end of May, around the middle to end of May, when she finishes her master's degree. And if you can get a draft to her, she'll,
You only give me 3 months. I don't know if I can do
We
that.
would like to usurp all of her
I'll tell you,
time.
I would like to use as much of her.
She is magnificent.
Yes, she
She's a
is.
magician.
Where is she going to school?
UConn.
UConn, your tax dollars at work. But anyway, she did some work for our little committee and she did a wonderful job. We were very pleased.
So
So,
we need, I take the silence as an assent. Okay.
Are we going home?
we need to
Any public comment?
motion.
They all left.
We need a motion to adjourn.
Yes, from you.
I'll move to adjourn.